Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome here as we get set to go racing at Dragonett. We're getting ready for the qualifying session for our 5th race of the season here in Division 2. We had a Dodge that's going to be sitting out on the pole for our Division 1 race, the 12 of Eli Bright, and Dodge went to victory lane last week at M&M Super Speedway with the 35 of Jeff Scott. Matter of fact, that is Dodge's second win this season in Division 2. Fury Gamington actually was the first Dodge back 2 weeks ago at Pigs Creek Super Speedway. So far, here in Division 2, we have had 4 races and 4 different drivers have gone to victory lane. We had Caleb Farrell winning at Daytona, William Brock won at Armory, Fury Gamington at Pigs Creek, and Jeff Scott last week at M&M's. So right now, 50% of the Division 2 playoff drivers are currently filled by race winners at this point in time. But still a long ways to go in the season. When we complete this weekend's race, we will only have made it a third of the way through the regular season. Still with 10 races left to go before our 10-race chase. But as things stand, Farrell, Gamington, Scott, and Brock would be 4 of the playoff drivers. That leaves 4 spots coming into this race available for drivers to get in via points. And right now, those positions would be held by John Andrews, Nathan Stapleton, Simon Solera, and Benny Watson. Looking here at the 23 of Jake Galloway. Galloway comes into this race 38th in points, really struggling this year, and he will be the first one to set down the first lap time of the day, and it's going to be a 46.930, as he might have gotten a little bit of draft off Cody Lamas there in the 15, who he was catching out of turn number 4. Galloway, a former pole sitter this season, got the very first pole of the year at the Daytona International Speedway. Trying to be a 2-time pole sitter here. So far, our pole sitters this season: Galloway at Daytona, Alex Benyako at Armory, Dylan Young at Pigs Creek, and Benny Watson at M&M's last week. So Chevy has 1 pole, Ford has 2, and Toyota has 1. 46.370 for Galloway. And that was easily topped by Michael Norman, and he is in this pack with Caleb Farrell, Charles Sanford, and Chris Maley. Norman with a 46.0, or 108, I should say. Fastest lap time we saw set in round 1 of qualifying for Division 1 here earlier today was in the 44s, a 44.307. They're getting close to the 44s, as that was Vince Almriego with a 45.231. See, this is where you're going to see really good speeds, is if they stay single file. Ormond and Patrick Smith have the right idea. James Shelley side by side with Jake Halleck. Boy, Shelley's had a struggling year, hasn't he? Man. So far, dead last in the point standings, an average finish of about 33rd place. Only 52 points accumulated in the first 4 races for that team. Kyle Langland, we've just focused on him, and he just went to the top of the board with a 45.088. Getting the draft off the car just ahead of him. I think was that Benny Watson? No, that's John Andrews, sorry. And he's got Dylan Young and Alex Benyako right behind him, 2 former pole sitters from this season. Benyako in race 2 and Dylan Young in race 3. Ooh, wow, we got a nice run there on John Andrews, did Langland, but he had to lift a little to avoid running into Andrews' left rear quarter panel. That might hinder his lap time just a little bit, as he has now dropped a second William Brock top of the board with a 45.047. And 44.853 for Kyle Langland. So now drivers hitting the 44s. Fury Gamington with a 44.888. And Benny Watson, last week's pole sitter, up there with a 44.709. Top of the leaderboard is Alexander Rowe There's Rowe in the 83 of 44.683. Great lap time for the Red Bull Toyota. And right behind him in this group is the 79 of Watson, trying to get the pole position for back-to-back weeks. Now Adam Garcia going to go to his inside, Alex Gray as well, so I don't think there's going to be much improvement of lap time here for Alexander Rowe. We'll see if Gray improves, and yes, he does. He jumped up to third. Garcia jumped up to fourth. So right here in this pack that you're looking at, all four of these drivers in the top four positions. Another driver that's got some speed here is last week's winner, Jeff Scott, in the 35. Let's see where he's at. There he is. Right now, 6th on the charts with a 44.875. Fury Gamington, our winner from a couple of weeks ago, he's up to 7th. And there's William Brock right now on the bubble spot in 10th place. Brock, of course, almost had the pole back at Daytona. Lost out on it to Jake Galloway. Brock also qualified well at Pigs Creek in 3rd. Actually, Brock's never had a qualifying result outside of the top 20. Second at Daytona. He was 12th at Armory. He was 3rd at Pigs Creek, and his worst qualifying effort was last week at M&M's when he qualified 19th. Of course, coming in with that win at Armory Digital as well as top of the leaderboard, Alex Ben-Yako. Saw him and Dylan Young working together, and right now they are P1 and P2. Ben-Yako with a 44.437. Let's see if he improves this lap. No, he does not. Dylan Young with a 44.492. And they must have really gotten a big draft off this group with Halleck, Shelley, Langland, and Andrews, because they have just about 2/10 over the rest of the field. Kyle Langland, who's also in this group, with a 44.6. Young and Ben-Yako are in the 44.4s. John Andrews also benefiting from this. He's now up to 6th. Jesse Turner jumped up into the top 10 and 8th. Simon Bloomfield's up to 7th. As now Dylan Young's heading for pit road. Looks like he's done. He feels he's good enough to move on to round 2. Eric Sadler now just got dropped to 10th, but he's up in the top 10, and just saw Jack Halleck there, that 13, jumped up to 4th place. So the Ford's looking good right now. They are 1, 2, 3, 4. The Blue Ovals showing the speed here late in round 1 of qualifying. There's the 14 of Halleck, his teammate Fury Gamington there in this group, and Gamington was in the top 10, now has been eliminated at this point. Sadler hanging on for all he's worth there in that final top 10 position. Eric Sadler has made it to round 2 in qualifying once in his career, back at Pigs Creek, qualified 4th for that race. His teammate Fury Gamington went on to win. And Sadler did not get scored, so I think they have stopped counting lap times. So I think that the top 10 have been decided. Ben-Yako, Young, Langland, Halleck. Then the Toyota of Alexander Rowe, the Toyota of Watson, the Chevy of John Andrews, then the Toyotas of Bloomfield and Turner, and then the Dodge of Eric Sadler. Only one Chevy, only one Dodge going to be moving on to the next round. The top 10 mostly comprised of Fords and Camrys. Oh, I'm wrong. Nope, lap times are still being counted. Sadler is out, Norman is in, and a couple more just popped up in there. Halleck jumped to the top of the board. Simon Solera is now up into the 5th position. And that, I think, just eliminated Jesse Turner. I thought lap times weren't being counted anymore, but more the fool me. Norman is in. Solera is in. Where's the 3 car at? There he is. He's in this group, as is Solera. Is anybody else from this group going to be able to jump up there? Are they still counting laps? Wow, Michael Norman and Simon Solera from out of nowhere, and just like that, 2 drivers that I thought were in, Jesse Turner and Eric Sadler, all of a sudden they're out. And that put Simon Bloomfield in the 21 on the bubble. And I don't know if they're still counting lap times or not, if he needs to be worried or not. Solera jumped up to 5th, Norman up to 7th. That knocked out the 77 and the 14. Bloomfield now on the bubble spot with 15 seconds remaining. Going to watch here and see if the lap time gets counted for Michael Norman, and it did. They're still counting lap times. Nobody was able to knock Bloomfield out that lap, though. Norman was 3/10 off his fastest lap. And Bloomfield, I think, might survive. I think that was the last opportunity, that last lap, for anybody to try and pop into the top 10, and I don't think anyone succeeded. So I think Bloomfield is going to survive, but boy, we saw this happen in Division 1, Round 1, when Eli Bright from out of nowhere popped up into the top 10, and what happened? Well, he went on to Round 2 to be the fastest in qualifying and start on his first pole of the season. So will we see the same here for someone like Michael Norman or Simon Solera, as the standings are now official for this first round of qualifying? Jack Halleck, not quite as fast as our fastest lap in Round 1 in Division 1, but still in the 44.3s with a 3.87. Alex Benyako, Dylan Young, Kyle Langland, your top 4. So there's your Fords. And then the Chevys all of a sudden got a speed boost, as they were 5th, 6th, and 7th. Solera, Andrews, and Norman. And then the Toyotas of Rowe, Watson, and Bloomfield. And with Norman and Solera popping in, that eliminates a Dodge from moving on to the next round, as Jesse Turner and Eric Sadler were both eliminated in the closing stages of this first round. So 11th on down has been determined. Turner, Sadler, Gray, Garcia, Scott. That'll be your top 15. Gamington, Allen, Voiles, Brock, and Lamas, your top 20. So it looks like 3 of our 4 previous race winners will be starting this race inside of the top 20. The other one, Caleb Farrell, will be starting down in the 28th position. And you look at a couple of drivers that are going to be starting near the rear of the field. One of them that really stands out to me is Nathan Stapleton, because he's going to be coming into this race inside the top 10 in points, 4th in the standings, only 13 points back, and he's going to have to do it from dead last. But anyway, stay tuned. We still have our second round of qualifying coming up to determine a pole sitter, and it looks like 3 of our 4 previous pole sitters are going to be in this round. So who will start on the pole position? 3 of our 4 previous pole sitters moving on to this round. The only one that did not was our Daytona pole sitter, Jake Galloway, but Benyako, Young, and Watson all with a chance of being a 2-time pole sitter here in the Skittles Superspeedway Series Division 2. You look at where some of these drivers that moved on to the second round come into this race in the point standings too, and this is actually quite big in terms of a number of drivers that are running really well in points. John Andrews, 3rd in the standings, only 6 points out. He's got a chance to start on the pole. You've got Simon Solera, who had that last-minute move into the top 10. He is 6th in points coming to this race. Benny Watson, of course, looking for back-to-back poles. He's 7th in the standings. Michael Norman had that late move into the top 10 and here to round 2. He's 10th in points. Dylan Young, 11th. Jack Halleck in 12th. And Alex Benyako, 16th. So a lot of drivers with a big opportunity to be able to gain a lot of positions and get themselves in a good spot heading into next week's race. You could also add Alexander Rowe to that list. He's 18th in points coming into this race. Simon Bloomfield, he's 23rd in points. Kyle Langland, though, is struggling, so he's very lucky to be moving on to round 2. 29th in points for him. And as a matter of fact, out of everybody that moved on to the second round, he's the lowest in the points. We normally see some drivers that are down in the 30s or 40s that make it into the second round, but no, Kyle Langland, 29th in points, is the furthest down in the standings of the drivers that made it here into the second round of qualifying. Simon Bloomfield, last week was the first time he made it into the second round of qualifying, as he qualified 8th at M&M Superspeedway. Second straight week he has advanced to the second round, and he will be the first one to set a lap time here in our second round of qualifying, and it's a 47.351. That's not going to cut it for a pole position. Dylan Young coming out on track. John Andrews just took the green. John Andrews has been very quiet this season. At least he has been for me. I don't think I've given this guy the credit he deserves. in terms of TV time. Third in the points coming into this race after 4 races, 6 points out. Why I haven't given him more TV time, I don't know. He's just been under the radar. As Simon Solera, top of the leaderboard, 46.989. It's going to be somewhere in the 46 threes, I think, that we're going to maybe see a pole sitter here. Jack Halleck was fastest in round 1, right now fastest in round 2 with a 46.803. Trying to get his first pole of the season. Andrews, 46.990. Right now that is good enough for 4th place. Dylan Young and Alex Benyako. Benyako's going to set a good lap here as he got the draft off of Dylan Young. 46.647. And now watch for these two Fords to maybe work together to try and battle it out for the pole. Michael Norman, 5th, now 6th. Fastest. Alexander Rowe, top of the board, 45.757 as he got the draft off of Simon Solera. Trying to get Toyota their 2nd straight pole. Watson got their first pole last week at M&M's. I want to watch the 2 of Dylan Young here, see what his lap time's going to be. He had to let Benyako by just after the start-finish line, so it might not beat a 45.7, but we'll see. Nope, 46.363, and now all drivers have taken time. And, improvement by Alexander Rowe, 45.630. Trying to continue to make a case for himself to start on the pole. Soler with a 45.697. Langland's by himself. He's 6th fastest. Benny Watson right now 9th fastest. Halleck, who was top of the leaderboard a moment ago, now drops to 5th. Simon Bloomfield, first car out, down in 10th. Andrews in 7th. It's going to be this group here of Young and Benyako and the group of Rowe and Solera that determine the pole sitter. These two are going to get to the line. 45.378 for Dylan Young, top of the board. I told you a 45.3. And Dylan Young hit it. What about these guys back here? They did not improve. And I believe these guys are going to get one more lap. They crossed the line before the session was officially complete, so I think this next lap time is going to be counted for both groups. So really, I think it's going to come down between Dylan Young. Well, these guys are side by side, so I think they just gave the pole to Dylan. Let's see if Dylan improves on a 45.3. Let's see if he can hit the 45.2s. He hasn't gotten out of line behind Benyako, so this is going to be a really good lap time for the Hooters Ford, trying to get his 2nd pole of the season. And it was actually slower, half a second slower. A 45.8 for Dylan Young. Let's see if Solera or Rowe improve. Oh, Solera! Shot clock cheese! 45.352 for the Doritos Cool Ranch Chevy. And that's going to put him on the pole position for this week's race at Dragonett. Look at that. Wow, by 2/100ths. Simon Solera denies Dylan Young at his 2nd pole of the season. I don't think they're going to count these laps here, but we'll see. We'll follow the 2 just in case. See if they do score him, and they do not. So that is it. That is official. Simon Solera will start on the pole. He'll be the 5th different pole sitter this season. And he had to top Dylan Young there in the closing stages. He succeeds in doing so with a 45.352 to Young's 3.78. So Simon Solera, who for the 4th time, I believe, let me look and see. The 4th straight time moving on to round 2. He's 4 for 5 in making it into the 2nd round. He will get his first pole position of his career, and he will start alongside of Dylan Young. Alexander Rowe going to start in 3rd with Benyako in 4th. Halleck will be 5th, Norman in 6th. Then it's Langland, Andrews, Watson, and Bloomfield. That's going to be how your top 10 will line up for our race on Sunday here for the Division 2 drivers. So 5 races and 5 different pole sitters. So far, 4 races and 4 different race winners. Will we have 5 different race winners? We're going to have to wait and see. Thanks all for tuning into this qualifying session. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give us a video, like, subscribe to be part of the crew today. We will now show you, well, we're not really going to be showing you qualifying results because you're seeing it here in this video, but we will see you guys tomorrow night. Division 1, Race 5 takes place here from Dragonett, and Sunday night, these Division 2 drivers will have their 5th race at Dragonett, and we're going to have to see what the point stands will look like after those races. Till then, I've been Seth Cole. You've been watching a production of the NNSCRA. It's for me to say, offline racing at its best.